Hi everyone. Hi Al.
Hello. It's delightful to meet you. I hope
Yeah,
others come.
yes, yeah. I think we're expecting that a lot of people will watch this on record because it's quite late UK time. So yeah, we've got yeah. And yeah, just waiting for some other people to connect to audio. So I think we'll get going in a couple of minutes, basically. Yeah. Where are you in the world, Al?
Yeah, I'm in the US on East Coast time, so it's a bit earlier for me here than it is for you all.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Um Yeah, so I think we'll get going, and then yeah, as we're expecting to like quite a few people to watch this on record, then yeah, we'll just get straight into it. And we've had some questions via email as well, so hopefully that kind of will help people to get a grasp of what we're doing. So first of all, just want to introduce myself. Like my name's Dr. Becca Bland, and I'm guessing if you're at this webinar or watching it on record, then you will know who I am. I'm sure you've checked out the website. And I just want to introduce John up in the corner. John, do you want to say hi and introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, yeah, John Whedon here, assisting Becca with kind of communications for staying together. So
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's wonderful to be able to answer questions about the training that we've presented. And yeah, so first of all, I wanted to run through a little bit about what standing together is. So maybe for the last kind of, well, 11 years it is that I've been working in the field of family estrangement. I've done a lot of research and a lot of work as a personal coach in this field. And I founded the only non-profit called Standalone, which some of you will be familiar with that work. I really felt there's a massive shortage of people who are trained to work in this area. So we have a lot of expertise in relationship coaching for romantic relationships and perhaps for other types of relationships like colleague relationships or work relationships, but we don't have a huge amount of specialism in family relationships, and particularly when family relationships break down. And yet, so many of us have experienced family trauma, and meaning that there are, nearly, I think now, one recent study in Germany said 28% of people will have an estrangement from one family member. So if we transpose that to the US and Canada, then that's millions and millions and millions of people. And yet I think that I can count perhaps like the amount of experts, specialists, people that have got knowledge and expertise in this area on one hand. So I think that that means that we have a bit of a shortage of people that, that can really help and support people. And why is it important? Because I feel that so many people go through kind of family estrangement or don't, kind of rupture ties with relationships without any support at all. And so that means that ultimately means people can feel very invalidated. They can have a lot of chaotic thoughts or kind of, difficult thoughts about the decisions they've made. And they often aren't in a process where they've kind of been supported to kind of distance relationships or indeed try and reconcile them. So, really, what I wanted to do, as it's the year that I'm going to be leaving the charity in the UK, is that I wanted to launch something that was kind of a legacy project for me, that gave all my expertise, that gave a lot of the research, and gave a lot of the things that I've learned over the years of working directly with this group, and put it out there into the world with the hope that more people will want to become specialists in this area, and more people will want to ultimately learn from what I've learned and put themselves out there as people that can support others with this situation. So just want to run through some nuts and bolts of the levels of the training. So we're aware that everyone's super busy, and that's kind of what happens with these kinds of lives, that people have got a lot of client work, or they might just have very busy lives balancing work and family. So the first two levels are video courses that were pre-recorded, that you can work through at your own time in your own space. So there's approximately, I think, something like 35 hours of video, way for you to work through at your own time, with exercises, with some audio, and with 2 or 3 special guests talking about specialist areas such as forced marriage. Also, you know, my colleagues talking about research, and also some people talking about nonviolent communication who've worked with me at the charity. So you'll hear not just from me, but also from others in the field as well. And yeah, I suppose it's really aimed at the first level. Level 1 is aimed at the basics, like looking at the facts, looking at people who are, you know, in this position. What does the research say? What do you need to know about that? And that became important to do, really, because what the research did tell us is that people want people who are informed, who know more about the issue. So level 1 is about learning about the facts and being able to be, yeah, I suppose, kind of versed in what people are impacted by, why they come to estrangement, how common it is, and also some of the, yeah, kind of generational difficulties that people have that create estrangements. So level 1 is really that. And then level 2 is really about looking at the, yeah, I suppose the skills that people might need. So it could well be that it could be people that want to write letters for grievance letters, or people that want to, yeah, make, I suppose, reconciliation letters. Also, you know, looking at people who experienced abuse, or there's a wide range of skill sets that I think you need to work in this area, looking at the backgrounds and core limiting beliefs that some of these people have. And level 2, the pre-recorded videos, gives you all of that kind of skill set. And then we move to level 3, which is much more of a masterclass, and it's directly with me in a very, very small group. And that's really the key to becoming more of a all-around specialist. So we would look at, you know, interrogating some of the themes from level 1 and 2. We would also look at how to market yourself as a coach or a therapist, and how to use language to reach people. We would create your kind of specialist, you know, skill set and put you out there, I suppose. You know, it's much more of a mentored process. And we'd also look, you know, I get a lot of requests of people that want to start nonprofits, or people that want to do really, you know, like kind of like, I suppose, charitable work in this area. So we'd lean into my charitable experience as well, of what it's like to be an authority figure in this field, and how to support yourself to support others if that's what you want to do. So all of this is, you know, we would look at some case conferences, but not only that, like, you know, there's a lot more content than just case conferences. We would look at some tricky cases that I've had that, you know, it'd be good to kind of look at with you, and create kind of more of a peer group, really, to learn together and kind of support each other going through the process. And there's nothing like having people beside you. And I think that, you know, it's good to have me by your side after level 3, but also good to have others who you can call on if you've got a complex case, or, you know, you get a wild email, and those things do happen. So I think it's, yeah, it's just hopefully going to be a very supportive community. So that's kind of a run through the training as it is. And I think what I would like to say too is that the Standing Together website, what I would like to do after people have done level 3 is invite them to contribute. So to create things like blogs, or take part in podcasts, and really put their point of view about this matter forward. I think, as I've said, like, you know, there's only about 10 specialists at most worldwide in this, and there needs to be more voices. Like, I'm determined that Standing Together is going to put more voices about this kind of issue out there into the world. So I think that that's kind of a point that is really unique, is that, you know, this is your platform to start speaking about this if you want to be more vocal, but in a very credible way. Like, I think there's some really, unfortunately, like very partisan voices out there. And I really want the voices that we put forward in Standing Together to be like skilled, considered, and people that are really, yeah, know their subject matter. And yeah, my aspiration is that the training will give you all of that confidence to say that you do. So yeah, I think that is my preamble to Standing Together, and why I'd love you to join me. Like, I think that, as I say, I really want to pass forward these skills, this knowledge, what I've learned, who I am, into the world, and make sure that, yeah, the 11 years I've spent in this field is very much played forward. So I'm really looking forward to you joining me. And yeah, I just want to open the floor to perhaps let's do, yeah, what do you think, John? Do you want to do the email questions first that people have sent in, or do you want to, should we go to Elle, or like, yeah, what's useful?
Yeah, I would say, Al, feel free to jump in if you have questions. I can also kind of start going through the ones that were sent in via email. These might be questions you have, Al, anyway, so I can kind of, yeah, go through a couple and then pause. And yeah, feel free to jump in. So yeah, some of the questions. One is, why is Standing Together not a part of the standalone charity?
Yeah. So I think this is a really important distinction, and one that, yeah, I think it's good to address head on. So I will be leaving the charity this year, and the charity Standalone is a UK-based charity. And when I made a charity, I felt it was really, really necessary because I wanted to bring funding into this field. However, I think that when we go forward, me as a personal coach, putting my personal perspective out there, my personal learning, things that I've done, then the charitable format just isn't really the most appropriate format for that. And it's something that's much more regulated, something where there's a lot more red tape around saying certain things that I'd like to say about spiritual growth or different areas of healing that I feel are really important. So I feel that in some senses the constitution of a charity perhaps holds me back from being my fullest coaching self and being able to put this forward and out there as directly as I would like to. And there's some really interesting legal nuances as well. Like, I can't promote other people as part of a charity. So I would have to legally vouch for the fact that you're perfect at your practice, and I would legally expose the charity if I brought people on board, trained them, and then sent them out there and gave them the charitable name. Whereas it's slightly different when you're just a sole trader. There's less legal risk, and so I would never want to compromise what I built with Standalone. Like, not saying that I would bring anyone on board that would create legal risk, but I think this is something that we've had to think about both on a charitable basis and for me going forward, is that it's just not the appropriate framework really to launch a training of this kind, especially this involved, that is quite closely but I have the full support of Standalone and the board, and I think that this is a good next step forward for me in playing forward the experience that I've kind of I suppose learned through creating the charity.
Can I still sign up for level 3 if I did levels 1 and 2 with you and Josh?
Yeah, so that's another, we're getting all the thorny issues out immediately. So I think that when I first started this training, then I launched it with another psychologist called Dr. Joshua Coleman. And I very much respect Josh. I think he's wonderful at what he does. But our working relationship together, we just had very different visions for what we wanted from Standing Together. And so he's taken his own training forward, I'm taking mine forward. And I think, as different practitioners in this area, I think that's mainly what's most appropriate. I think it's really important to recognize that if you did level 1 and 2 with me and Josh, you're very much welcome to do level 3 with me. And you're very much welcome to go and do his training as well. I think he's launching something that's online too. So I think that there's nothing stopping you from taking this next level 3 with me. And you wouldn't have to redo level 1 and 2 unless you really, really wanted to, in which case you could get in touch with me and, you could access level 1 and 2 if you've already signed up with me and Josh for level 1 and 2. But there's no necessity to redo it. And level 3 will build on either what you did with just me in level 1 and 2 now, or what you did do historically a couple of years ago with me and Josh. So no need to redo anything unless you're desperate to spend another 35 hours with me, just me. I think there's some differences. Like, Josh obviously brought a very different perspective, like both as a psychologist and also as somebody that has worked in this field mainly with estranged parents. So, that there's definitely stuff covered. I work a lot with estranged parents as well, but my perspective and what I've done in level 1 and 2 is different, so the material is different, but I feel that you'll be well equipped after level 1 and 2 with either the old format or this format to go into level 3 with me. Thanks, John.
Mm-hmm. Will other times be offered for level 3 in the future?
Yeah, so the million dollar question, I can't make all the sessions for level 3. Can I do it another time? So yeah, I think that I've offered level 3 and going to offer level 3 twice a year. So every April and every October. And you can sign up to any of those like that you want to. So I think the next session starts, I think, was mid-April next year. And I think the next session is mid-October this year. So you could do either of those, you know, and then next October will be advertised shortly. But I think I just want to keep 2 open at a time so that we don't end up spreading things way too thinly. But yeah, so every April, every October, you'll always have that level 3 option available. And they're very small groups. And so I think it's lovely to have such focused work and have small cohorts. And so, yeah, things can fill up. So I think I wanted to make sure people knew that there was something else out there if level 3 in October becomes full.
Yeah, so I'll jump to that question, kind of relates to that. How many are signed up to level 3 in this first cohort in October? So how many spots are left?
Yeah, so we've got 10 slots left for level 3 in October. And so I really want to be clear that we only launched this 3 weeks ago, pretty much, wasn't it, John? I can't quite remember how long ago, less than a month ago. So I really think people should make the decision to sign up for level 3 after they've done level 1 and 2. Like, I think it's really important to, like, you know, work through that, make sure that you're content with like me as your, you know, your teacher. And partly that's why it was in my best interest, I think, in your best interests. I live, on the flight path of an airport. So sorry, that was a little plane there. Yeah, level 1 and 2 are considerably less of a financial investment. And so I think that was done for the reason that I wanted you to get to know me over a period of time. And I've got no interest in anyone spending, you know, investing and spending money with me if they don't feel I'm going to reach them as someone that's going to teach them. But I think, you know, level 1 and 2 are, you know, not a significant, you know, they're a significant investment, but they're not, you know, it's much less to kind of take those levels. So I would say take those first, see how you feel, see if you like the content, see how you feel about the subject matter, and then let's do level 3 then. So I'm super glad I've got like people signed up for level 3 already. I'm really excited about that. But yeah, so I expect that probably by September we'll fill up with that.
Got two questions. Al, do you have anything on the top of your head? I'll pause here for a moment.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for attending to me and for such a personalized experience here. Delightful to meet both of you. And yeah, Dr. Bland, I only just learned about your work recently, even though you've been doing it for a while now. And so it's delightful to meet you here and just hear about the training and about your vision and yeah, just how you see it moving forward. And I can really hear as you talk about the importance of the work, like I really feel that from you too. And yeah, so that's part 1, is just thank you for your work. And my question is about, so I'm a therapist in training in the US, and I'm not sure what the regulations are like for therapists in the UK. So it's okay if you don't have an immediate answer to my question, but I'm wondering about, in the US, we have continuing education credits, and I'm wondering if your training is able to offer any kind of continuing education credit, or if you have a plan to do that in the future.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, really good question, and one that I think a lot of people will be curious about. So we're already qualified to give CPD credit in the UK, and we will also be giving CE credits as well by December. So if you take level 1 and 2, you'll get a CE credit, but it needs to be, unfortunately a bit delayed because this is a worldwide program. So to secure all of the kind of regulation around all those things, we've taken quite a bit of a while to get to the US, Australia, and Canada. But in the UK, we've got there. So yeah, I expect the timeline would be December for you to get that credit. So in time for this year. And yeah, thank you for attending. Like I think we do have another few people in attendance, but I think yeah, it's yeah, some people don't like to put their cameras on. So yeah, it's do you have any other questions? Is there anything else that you're curious about?
Yeah, I did just think of one more. I'm wondering, I really liked how you talk about just the importance of this work, given like so few people who are out there doing it in the UK or maybe the world. And to me, that really speaks to the importance of like not just therapists being confident and competent in this topic to help clients, but maybe like coaches as well and other types of healers. And I'm wondering if your program might be appropriate for more people than just therapists and coaches, and yeah, like how you see that developing and who you see the program being for.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what's really interesting is that when people first disclose that they haven't got contact with a family member, then the person they disclose that to has got a very important role in their life to show them whether that's acceptable, or they're almost validating them. And the vast majority of people for that, it won't be a psychotherapist or a therapist. It might be, you know, a clergy member, or it might be a nurse, or it might be somebody else in the helping professions. Whoever it is, then they are ultimately going to have that quite important role of whether they deliver stigma or not. So I think that it's really important for any helping professional to take this program. Like, it hasn't been tailored to therapists necessarily. Like, there's definitely language that's around the healing relationship, but I think it's accessible to coaches, it's accessible to clergy members, accessible to nurses, doctors, anyone that's going to encounter someone where they're in a caring relationship and where they might have to hold somebody in that issue. And yeah, for so many people, I think the research has shown that like when they disclose these things, they get told quite difficult kind of platitudes almost of things like, you only get one mum, or things like, you know, you should always reconcile. It's always better to have family in your life. Or you might never see your child again, or you don't need your grandchild. You know, there's all sorts of things that people might say. And we have to, as helping professionals, understand the responsibility that we have when we are receiving information from someone that's disclosing something quite stigmatized. So I think that's, yeah, I think it's really, really important that more and more people access this, do this. And yeah, if only everyone was a lot less, I suppose, kind of, yeah, secretive about family relationships not being perfect, then I think we would have perhaps more open dialogue. But yeah, this program is intended to create that, I think. Yeah, so thanks very much, Elle. Like, John, do you have anything?
Yeah, so I have two more questions kind of from email, and they're kind of both in parallel to your questions, Elle. So yeah, as a practicing psychologist, obviously applies to a practicing therapist as well. Will this training truly enhance my practice?
Well, I just want to speak to the opportunity here then, I think, because if you look at how many millions of people are impacted by family estrangement and the amount of specialists that there are in the world, then I think that there's a really good business case, at the very least. If you weren't passionate ethically about this, then, you know, there's a good business case for there needing to be more people to get support from. And I think that to put yourself out there and market yourself with, you know, language around this issue means that you will attract more clients. You know, if you're looking to attract clients, then you will attract more clients, because people are consistently searching for people to work in this area with them. And particularly people that are less judgmental and non-judgmental, that have got no, you know, people that are non-directive is what the research says, that they're not trying to push them towards any one outcome, like, you know, not towards reconciliation, not towards being apart either. So just how to hold people in a non-judgmental way, but knowing that, you know, that this issue exists. I think that, you know, I just want to give you an insight into the charity as well. Like, you know, every day I get over 28 people registering for my newsletter with the charity. So, you know, potentially that's a huge number of people really every day looking for that kind of support. And I know not all of them would then become your clients, but this shows that there is, you know, there's people out there seeking support for this that don't quite know where to turn. And so I think more people with this kind of visible web presence and more, you know, language around it, writing about it, doing more about it will help. And yes, I think it will enhance your practice. If not ethically and kind of morally, then financially as well, if you want more clients. I think if you've got a saturated client base, then you're probably not looking at wanting to have more clients. This is actually just going to be really good to help you work more effectively, knowledgeably, and confidently with the clients you do have.
Then the last question through email was, is this suitable for people not yet qualified as counselors or coaches yet?
Yeah, really good question. Yeah, so this is, yeah, absolutely relevant. You know, level 1 is very factual and very much about the research and about kind of what this thing's about. So I think the people that have already taken this training with me who have already said that it's very useful for them personally if they're impacted by this issue. So they might, you know, they came through it with some really interesting insights about themselves. So although it's not intended as a widespread program for people to take who are impacted by family estrangement or not, then I think that there will be benefits for sure of taking level 1 and 2. What I don't want to do is kind of say that you take level 1 and 2, then suddenly you're an expert. Like, I think it's really important to have a qualification of some kind that allows you to know the nuts and bolts of holding space, the nuts and bolts of how to kind of have a healing relationship with someone. Like, you know, those things that coaching, psychotherapy, social work trainings do are really golden in giving you that kind of, you know, very baseline understanding. So this isn't a qualification to become a coach, but this is an enhancement to another qualification you might have. And just if you're interested, you know, you could just be really interested, and then that's great. You've done it for you. And I think you'll get a lot out of it as well. Okay.
Yeah, so that's all the questions through email. I don't know if the other, you know, anyone else in the participants, if you have questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask away.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi, Nick and Joe. How are you? Myself and a friend who are experiencing this estrangement, I'm going on 8 years and she 3, are going to start a group at our church. And I think John's question that was just sent about us not really being qualified as counselors, but wanting to offer a place of empathy, it seems like this would be, you said level 1 and 2 would be spot on for that, for giving us a little bit more fodder, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it would be really good to give you confidence, if anything.
Yeah.
So I think that perhaps I think a lot of people, at least when I first started the charity standalone, I knew that I had a lot of experience of the issue, like what you're saying, you know, you might have personal experience, and that qualifies you for empathy a huge amount, you know, because you know what people are going through, you know how to relate to this issue. But sometimes people bring way more complex traumas and complex issues that you kind of don't really know or understand how to hold. And I think that this will give you more insight into perhaps some of the thought processes and the beliefs that people hold in this position, which might help you to kind of help people feel a lot better about themselves. And the course has some very practical examples of how to help people with some of those beliefs as well. So I think if anything, being knowledgeable will give you confidence, and then the skill set of level 2 will also give you some practical skills to kind of give people to take away. And and I think it's wonderful work if you're starting a group. I think it's really, really powerful, because the thing that research says is that meeting other people is one of the most powerful things people can do. So I really have a lot of respect for doing that.
We're just hopeful that people aren't full of shame, like we're not sure how to draw them out other than being in our church newsletter, you know. So we'll see how it goes, but we'll probably be taking your class, so thank you.
I think shame is unfortunately a big part of being different in society. Like, like people really want to move towards being the same or having something that they feel is normal. And so like many issues that people have, like, family estrangement, not having contact with a family member, people will feel shame because they don't feel it is normal. But then I think something to reassure people is that millions of people go through this issue. And what I found when I first started the charity was that for the first 2 years, people contacted me saying, I'm the only person going through this, like, and they literally in the world thought they were the only one. And yet just being able to say, look, there's a place here for you and you're not the only one is massive healing in and of itself. So the knowledge from level 1 of how prevalent it is and how many people go through it and why will give you a really strong basis for being able to help people fight that shame and know that they're not super abnormal.
Great.
Right.
Okay.
Family is a group of humans after all, we can't all be predictable and like we are on the ad, like people are in advertising. Yeah, does anyone else have any questions, or should we wrap up? We planned for half an hour, so I think we're kind of on time.
Let's clarify too that we will send out the recording. So this is going out to, the dozens of people who signed up for the webinar. So you guys will receive it as well. Everyone who's here attending. So yeah.
I think the main thing is that, like with any therapeutic relationship, any training or anything like that, you've got to really want to train with the person. So these webinars are a little, sample of who I am. And, if you feel drawn to my energy, my teaching, then that's brilliant. And just want to, congratulate everyone that came. And thank you very much for that.
I'll give a moment. Helen's just connecting the audio here. I think just at the very end of the webinar, but we'll pause, Helen, if you have still says connecting, so I guess she's not hearing me either, but maybe we'll give her a moment to see if she has a question.
Yeah, and do feel free to reach out via email if you have any other questions too. And so we're always here. Right.
Do you have a podcast, Becca? Or
yeah. So I'm just recording the podcast right now, which is going to start in August. So I've got 5 lovely initial guests that I'm talking to. So that's going to go live fairly soon. And there's a couple of blogs on the website too. So I think like my vision for it is that it becomes something where there's just a lot of people that are writing, about their own practices in this area, so that we can create a community of people that can go off and support others with this. So yeah. I think podcasts are great. I think they're such a good place for it. Okay, unless Helen has any burning questions, having just joined, then I think we'll leave it there. And thanks very much. And hopefully see you on the training. And take good care.
thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.